Here we are again at our weekly chart review. We're going to jump into Forex. It's been a very interesting week. We had some significant news come out that will overall bring each currency pair further along where it was planned to go in the first place. All right. It's been a little messy. There's been some significant movement Thursday and Friday that really kind of hit the market hard. And let's just analyze to see what those moves actually ended up doing. All right, so AUD-CAD, I drew up this trade idea originally. It was right here. It dropped down to this purple Fibonacci channel line and rejected off that and went higher. Okay, and then it actually went right to the entry zone once again, and then a hard drop on Friday, like Thursday night leading into Friday. My only concern with this is if I switch to the daily, okay, you can see that I'm using the Camarilla pivots right now just for the sake of seeing where the currency pairs kind of ended up, okay? And what I see happen right now is over the last 2 weeks, we've been rejecting off the severely oversold territory. Okay, and then it went up to the first oversold and right back down, rejected and closed higher. Now, the way that this is shaping up to be, I'm looking at it like a buy. I don't know if it's going to go any lower just based off of these rejection points. Okay, so far I would say if the entry was taken here, it's still safe to continue. I mean, currently it's a 1.89 to 1 risk to reward, so I mean it's still good. Okay, but let's see multiple things on the daily right now. So if we take our Fibonacci and we draw it from this low to this high, okay, and we draw it across, we can see, and I'll get rid of this little guy, we can see that there was pretty firm rejection at that 78.6 zone, and overall it's still kind of hanging around the golden zone, right? All around here, and then it broke through several times before wanting to move further down, but now it's rejecting off that 618 here on the buy side. Okay, overall though, over the last several months, I do believe that this is still going to be going down. Okay, we're not making newer highs, it's just within this 3-month range. 3 month, I mean it's from July to almost end of September, so 3 months, yeah. Okay. What I'm seeing is that there could be a possible rejection from here going to the upside. And I mean, this candle pattern would make sense. So if we get rid of the pivot lines for a second, okay, it's showing that, you know, it's firm rejection off that 618. However, if we take it from the upside from here to the bottom, and then I'll get rid of this previous Fibonacci, you can see that each pullback has been rejecting off the 50%. This one a little bit higher and then dropping lower. So right now we are in a bit of a wedge pattern or a flag. All right, where we have this sort of situation happening there and this one here, right? And it looks like it's going to be converging until it finally breaks out. Now, where it's going to be going, I still believe it's going to be going to the downside. The only concern is that, as you can see all the way back from 2020, it kind of broke out and hit its peak, and it started slowly dropping ever since, right? So if we even take a fib going from this high here to the low here and draw it across, it rejected within the golden zone, right? Just a bit above the 50% and went further down. So based off of that, I think what's happening in here is very similar to what was going on there. So we could be seeing a potential move to the upside in the next few months. The Canadian dollar is still very strong, but right now it is very high interest rates, right? Australian dollar is going to be catching up. So where it's going to go, I think that for now, it's best off to close off this trade and be looking for an entry when it gets to this area here. Okay, so I'll zoom in and I'll be looking at this candle pattern here to see if there's any significance. So let's drop down to the 4 hour. Wow. Let's drop down to the 4 hour and we'll see if there's anything significant here. So let's see. Just rejections off the 4 hour EMAs, it looks like. So the brown was a pretty significant one, and now this is the fib channel line, rejection going down from the 4 hour. So it looks like something in this wick right here is in play. So let's zoom in on that, because that's a point where it's getting rejected off this area several times. So let's see on the 1 hour if there's anything significant. Let's just measure this wick out of curiosity. So it's only 36 pips. It's not gigantic. Okay, it must have just been at 6 a.m. my time, so 8 a.m. That must have just been a news hit, and then it kind of continued on its merry way. Okay, 30-minute. Oops, this way. Still a wick. 15. Still a wick. 5. All right. So it looks like it was in a very small time frame right here. This entire move, up to the bottom to top within 41 pips. So that's about 82 pips up and down movement approximately. I mean, it went down first, then it went up, and then it kind of dropped mid-range. So not really that significant. You know, this was more of a significant move, but as you saw, it pulled back and then it lingered around that area for quite some time before finally breaking through it and dropping lower, right on that 5-minute time frame. So I would say right now AUD-CAD is not really giving me any information I want to jump in on any trades at this moment. None that I can see anyway. I mean, as far as double tops are concerned, yes, there's several that have been made, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot when it's not making new lows or new highs, right? I mean, this is just barely a new high, but it's still not crossing any of these. So we're kind of stuck in consolidation, I think. And it's kind of clear to see because it is within 2 fib channel lines. So you see the yellow line here and the purple line there. After we popped up into this area, it's been sitting around these 2 spots. So it's very likely that what we're going to see is another move going to the upside, maybe 100 pips, and dropping once again. So you know what? I'm not really too sure about this currency pair, so we're going to unmark it and move on. Because right now I think we're just in a deep consolidation. It's going to be some heavy moves. AUD-CHF, that's a little bit more clear. So all those crazy moves that we had with CHF at the beginning of the week, beginning 21st, midweek, right? They kind of came to fruition and everything started to drop, right? So it made the low, it went up to the 618 within that same move, and it started to reject, okay? Overall, most CHF pairs are just continuing on to where they were. Just during that news, it was really, there's always a catalyst for moves that are already going to happen, right? So this was just a catalyst for what was already coming, and a sharp pullback to get people out, right? A nice stop hunt there, and now down we go. Okay, so AUD-JPY. Here I don't really see much significance. I mean, we are 618 territory right now, going to the upside, and we are making new highs, so that's always a good sign. Okay, right now, as you can see, 618 rejection there, solely based off of that. Let me just see. Okay, solely based off of that. Any other significance is the white line and the EMA, so we have 3 indicators that are converging right there. And from what I can tell, I'm going to pop on the pivot lines to see if that adds anything. And it really did not, right? Everything kind of broke through the bottom oversold territory. And it looks like even on the histogram, we're getting some significant divergence. All right. So I think that this is going to be a pretty decent area for entry. The JPY is coming out with news later on this week, and let me just double check what it is. So on Sunday, they're announcing their PMI, so forecasting slightly lower, which could mean a bullish reaction for currency, which in turn means anything ending with JPY could potentially drop further down. Okay, Monday, we just have Bank of Japan president speaking, and then no, that's it. That's it for the week. It's just Sunday and Monday. So whatever moves happen, they're going to be early on. It's going to play out around this area. I believe that if forecasting is, what was it, lower than projected, which could mean bullish for currency, and if it is the opposite, we're going to see a very strong reaction to the upside. Okay, so risky trade, but I would say a potential entry would be here, going up to the previous high, and stop loss, I would say just 73 is a little large, right? But just at the bottom of these guys here, quite possibly even there would be a better choice, because at that point I can tighten the stop loss about 45 pips. So this is still it could be a very good potential move, a 12.5 to 1 ratio almost, and it could actually play out within a few weeks. So I would say this is a very decent trade opportunity. Either the entry is going to be here, or I would wait until at least there's an EMA shift on the 1 hour. That would be kind of my deterrent to stay out of that trade for now. Right, and then we have a potential institutional setup here. That could be, if come to fruition on the 1 hour, that could be the entry to go to the downside. Okay, so I'll remove the pivot points just so it's a little more clear. So yeah, and here we go. As you've seen formed, here's another institutional setup. It dropped lower, but they were rejected right away. No wicks on the bottom. That was very minor as far as wicks go. It's only about like 3-4 pips. Right here, there's none. So, I mean, as far as coming back down to that area, I don't see that happening. EMA shift would probably likely happen around here. So taking it on the line may not be such a terrible idea. All right, so that is my AUD/JPY. Honestly, safety's sakes for this one, I would stick with 60 pip stop loss. And again, even though I set it up this way, this is a trade I'm only going to do when I see an EMA shift, right? So add alert on the 1 hour, crossing 1 hour, buy, entry, trigger. Okay, and we just got to make sure what it's crossing. Fibonacci 5, crossing Fibonacci 13. Create. Okay, that means the yellow is going to cross the red. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that one. We'll keep it aqua. AUD/NZD, not exactly a currency pair I'd want to be trading, but it seems that everything is going to the upside ever so slowly. AUDUSD, now already in this trade, and what a beauty it's looking out to be. My goodness. All right. Like I said earlier, right, when there was a 38 pip potential stop loss, but 60 pips is the threshold. So if by chance anyone took that 60 pip stop loss into consideration, currently they would be up very, very nicely. And just to give you an example about how much, it would be around a 5.5 to 1 ratio, right? With still potential to go lower. So very nice trade idea that was looking pretty good. Okay, there's nothing really to analyze. I do believe it's going to be hitting its spot down there. And then we'll see how the candles formed and what patterns were created to potentially go further. AUDUSD paid out nicely too. Back in April, there was an analysis I did. I think it was for 9 to 1 originally, but the pair kept dropping, and if the trade was maintained, it could have been a 32 to 1 risk to reward ratio. And if you want to see where that video is, that's my April 9th video. Very interesting stuff. So looking pretty good there. CAD CHF still looking like it wants to drop, right? However, if we take a look at the daily, okay, we've hit kind of its support zone here, and it seems to have rejected. And let's see, the last time we were below that was back in 2020, where we dropped and we stayed below that zone. So now it's coming back to that specific area. Let's see. Oh, white line is pretty significant. It has a potential to go all the way down here, and then I would say good chance for reversal upwards. CHF pairs, very interesting right now. Yeah. Not going to bother taking any trades with this one in particular. CAD JPY. So even on the channel, you can see it was rejecting, then it passed through to the next zone, and then it dropped into the one below it. But if we add our Fibonacci from this low to this high, we can see that it just like perfect rejection right here on the channel and the 618. So that looks good to go higher. All right, so if we take that on the 4 hour, let's see if there's any gnarly candle patterns to watch out for. This would really be the only one. Very clear rejection off that line and wants to go higher. So I would do something like this. Off the wick, it's going to be quite large. I don't think that's going to be necessary. Let's try the 1 hour. There we go. That's a little bit better setup because that imbalance was closed. I do believe it might come back down to that area. So, you know, potential trade opening would be here. Entry right on that line to go higher, 350 pips. Tighter stop loss around 45. So that could be a decent trade setup. We'll see how it plays out. I'll switch that back to the 4 hour and widen it. Okay. So let's see what's significant on here besides Fibonacci and the EM and the channel line. If I take volume and I go from the bottom to the top, that entire climb, the biggest chunk of volume we have, look at that, the perfect rejection right off that volume line. Okay, so what that tells me, it's very likely going to be tested once more before rejecting. Okay, because the majority of the volume buildup is above there, right? There's some significant consolidated areas there, but the majority of them are higher. So, you know, another, let's see, potential zone will be right there. We'll make sure that one's red. Okay, so, yeah, maybe even right off there. I don't think it's going to be coming that lower. I'm going to risk off the fib channel, off the Fibonacci line, because that's where we have that GAN box set up. So I'll give that one a shot. CAD JPY looks pretty good from that entry. All right, and judging with how the pair has been going, taking buys would be the better option. And the brown line here was the rejection zone prior. If this goes a few more days sideways, this brown line will catch up right there to the volume. And if it's going to reject the same way, that's going to be a very nice entry. So it depends. It depends really on what's going to happen. If I... I'm debating whether or not I should let it drop further and take a buy stop or a buy limit. You know what? I'll leave that up to personal preference. I like to wait for EMA shifts too if it's just off a fib channel and there's no institutional candle or gap to play off of. All right, this is kind of a zone trade that needs to be looked at. You know what? Safe bet, 60 pip stop loss as before. Gives it a very decent ratio. And because we haven't broken through that volume line, it's possible that if we tap it once more and go up, if it's at least 40 or 50 pips in profit, I'm going to be watching break-even zone because it might be pulled down even further. But Sunday and Monday news will determine what actually happens. CHF JPY, so huge reaction right here on CHF. Not a pair that I'm interested in trading anyway. Euro AUD, super close. So I had this trade idea set up. Unfortunately, it did not trigger. It came just below the 618. But you know what? Euro should still be a little bit bullish for a few more days before the rest of the news comes out. So I'm going to keep that trade idea just for now. I'm curious to see if we're going to have one more spike and then reject. But I'm going to hold on to this one. I don't think that it is over, potentially. I'll get rid of that alert. And let's see. Add alert on ribbon close. That's that one. Once, 4 hour. Crossing. Crossing, I guess. Man, what we're going to have crossing. What should we do here? Ugh. I'd like to get it when the candles cross the actual EMA line, but that's, you know what then? I would say if price crosses, you know, I'll just set it right here, forget it. I don't need to set it on the EMA, it's around that area. Add alert. Entering, whoops, entering sell zone. All right, that'll be a good one to watch for. Euro CAD, yeah, same sort of idea. It just pulled a little too soon. I thought it was going to go much, well, to the 618 at least. But from what I've noticed, every Fibonacci movement, the 618 is just the more common one. So 50% of all retracements happen around that 618. There's about 25 that go from 50 or lower and 25 at 78.6 or higher. So that's the only reason why the golden zone has the majority of reversals. If people are brave enough to take a stop loss of, you know, 250 pips on some currency pairs, go nuts. It's a little rich for my blood. Not that it's rich, it's just it's going to take a long time to get into profit if you're sitting at that much of a loss, right? So what's really worth it in the end? But yeah, so I'm going to keep that trade idea for now. So far, it looks like off the 4 hour, we're doing a little rejection here. Let's see what the pivots look like. S4 is right where that blue line is, and it wicked off there and started to climb slowly. So I'm curious as to what this is going to look like. I'll move this over. I'm curious what this is going to look like, what the pivot lines are going to form at the beginning of the week, right? So that's going to be Sunday open. I still think it's going to come up to this area. So we'll see. Yeah. Euro CHF. Look at that beautiful wick. What a crazy... I had to point that one out when I did these charts a little earlier. Just what a retracement. Right there and then back down it goes. This is a very strong move. It's showing the strength of the Swiss franc compared to the euro. And yeah, I mean, what an entry that would have been. Everything was kind of set up in that area, right? And let's see if there was anything here that would have triggered it. Because that would have been, yeah, just a little guy right here, right? That wick out of curiosity, I'm going to see what's in that wick. So 30-minute, here we go. Okay, so 2 giant candles in there, formed that institutional play right after, and then went right down. So that would have been right here. We'll draw the red line going across, and I'll switch that over to white. And see, this is the issue. This is, I'm like, oh, did I miss something in there? And, you know, if I would have done a little bit more analysis, that could have been a perfect trade entry. But still, it happened just a little bit lower. So that means it would have been more significant to take the play off of that candle imbalance instead. Right? As this one went, as you see, it's right on that line. Everything kind of led up to that point. So, yep, it's a miss, but that's okay. It's good to see where plays are going to be forming from. Everything kind of worked its favor there. That would have been a fantastic move. And even if we use the GAN box of this institutional, right, rather than the imbalance, you can see that it's still within that range. It just did pull up to the 50%. So it's okay. Not the worst thing in the world. There will be other trades to take. All right, Euro GBP. Ridiculous move. So that was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a drop. Okay, and it ended up exploding. So GBP showed some significant weakness to the point where in one day this went up 226 pips before closing off at 221. So that is useless. Pivot lines were crushed. It just kind of blew right past it. All right, so long term, this is where we're looking at. It's doing a very deep retracement around the purple and the 786. This is still, I want to say, going down overall, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's been just kind of sideways, but very sharp spikes up and down. It's made a new low. It hasn't made any new highs. It is a very good potential chance that it will reject off this area once GBP news comes in. Let's see volume here on the dailies. It should be around, there we go. That's where I was thinking it's going to be. Pop that there. We'll switch that back to red. Okay, let's see where that's at. Yeah, so potential zone for everything to kind of finish its moves, I would say, would be around here where the volume is. Fib channel line, 100 pips, it's quite large, right? This move will take a very long time to actually happen, so I don't know if it's wise to take an entry that's going to be that long. And as far as more short-term analysis, what I can see is, you know, there was volume buildups in extreme zones, but that didn't mean anything anymore. And yeah, as you see on the climb, look at this, right? So we went from here to the high, you know, 328 was really all that it went to, but now we have here to the high, right? 618 rejection, up it went. From here to the high, almost the 618 rejection, up it went, right? So there were two potential areas to be able to jump in on trades with these bottom of the humps, and they really kept in line with that pink EMA. So it's okay. It's you know, I don't like jumping into trades kind of mid-trend. It's more risky, right? You don't really know where it's going to pull back, and you need to have a larger stop loss set. If you do know where it's going, you know, like I said, 60 pips would kind of be the minimum. So let's see if we would take a trade here, and we would see that it's going to bounce down. So 60, right? Almost. It would have needed to be in a little bit lower, right? So that's very, it's kind of a cautionary tale right there, right? 60 pips is good, but sometimes it's just not enough depending on where you took an entry, right? So if it bounced down here and it's made its high, right? And let's say it made its high right there before it pulled down a little bit on the 4-hour time frame, right? So then I'm like, okay, I'd be looking around the 50%. Oh, it made a new high. move that bar over, look around the 50%. Okay, you know, mid-trend around there, that would be a decent entry and a 60 pip stop loss. Let's make sure we grab the tool, right? 60 pip stop loss, significant to be able to grab the trade, and let's see how I can go. So far, just within a couple days, I mean, it's almost a 5-to-1, right? So not the worst thing in the world. Let's see where, and I'm just going to leave that up. I think this might actually go higher, so I'll just delete that. Anyway, Euro JPY, right? Let's see moves on the long term. Okay, overall, we're going to be climbing. As you see, right, everything has been bouncing off these EMAs. Now it's hitting off the brown EMA. It could go lower down in 618 or further down. So I would take it from here. And as you see, it's going to be tight stop loss, right? 60 pips looks like a lot, but here it's really not that much. I would say this could be a significant candle pattern to watch for. Let's zoom in on that. Nope, that's just mid-trend. That means nothing. Okay, any gaps that formed? That one got filled at the 50%. Let's see here. That one got filled at the 50%. You see, I mean, oops. We'll just delete that anyway, it doesn't matter. We're looking for candles. So, yeah, once the news came out here, so let's take a look at the 1 hour, okay? When this giant candle happened, this is what I'm saying about a gap being filled, okay? So top to bottom of this candle and wick, look at that. The next candle almost closed off its gap before going lower, right? And then another large candle, and then look what happened with that large candle. The next one, 50%, and down it goes, right? So even just a few hours later, they're incredibly significant. These candle moves, it's a very strong chance that rejections can happen and continue going downward, right? So yeah, that's how it works out. All right, let's go back to the daily. Sorry, right there. What was I saying around that area? Where was the fib? I think I drew it from here to here. I know I deleted it. Yep, that would seem about right. That's where I would have drawn that. So entry, there's really no gap here because the wicks are almost in play. So I would go right there. There's a previous resistance and support zone here, right? So it broke through it, tested, and broke through it and tested one more time. And I think safe to say that this is going to be the play. But you know, I'm going to be comfortable on this one and wait for the EMA shift on the 1 hour after it hits that zone, right? So if it's still going down, and it doesn't shift, I don't take any sort of positions. But if there is a shift before it crosses this line, that's fantastic. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm just going to set an entry level. I'm going to have to do it right below that EMA line. Oh, I can't even spell. Oh, jeez. All right. So that's that. I'll switch that over to blue. Euro NZD. Well, it's been growing up for quite some time, right? Very significant moves, and now we've hit a double top. All right, NZD. Let's see if there's any significant plays coming out with that. There is nothing on the radar for now. Oh, yeah, nothing really on the radar, just the Royal Bank of New Zealand governor speaking. So, other than that, it's just going to be a forecast of what happens, right? So, Euro has been strong, but as we see overall, NZD is what to watch for. This could actually be a fantastic sell based just off of the double top that formed. But look, this top is not higher than this top. So where it's sitting right now, this could be a very good potential sell. Right, just off that, right off those peaks, right, quite high actually on the daily. So let's see on the 4 hour if there's anything significant. Okay, so look at what we have happening here. Here's the peak. It's been kind of being played with a touch. if we drop it right there, may be a little too dicey because that's 60 pips, right? So I would say that would be okay to take if, and only if, there's an EMA shift. And I would do it even on the 1 hour if it's significant, right? Because these are not significant EMA shifts, it's just kind of junk right here. It's a very strong consolidation, just kind of wicking up and down. So not really all that excited. I would say even a good time to jump in on the trend would be once the EMA starts spreading apart. But as you see, even on the 1 hour, everything is still in buy mode. Everything on the 4 hour is in buy mode. The smaller time frames tell a different story, right? But even 30-minute buy mode, 15-minute buy mode, 5-minute buy, well, kind of consolidating, right? But as you can see, they're still edging upwards. So I would wait until it crosses, wait for that EMA shift. Judging where we had rejection before, I would say maybe blue line's as high as it's going to go. We could be seeing something like that. So that would be more of a opportunity to grab. So I'll leave that up. Like I said, NZD pairs not exactly my favorite because it can be very wicky, but they do have some nice setups occasionally. And overall, if we take a look at the daily, this is kind of primed for a reversal. Okay. If anything, if it doesn't do an EMA shift, this is going to be where I'm looking to go to next. Okay, because right now, this has been climbing steadily for, let's see how many weeks, about 4 or 5 weeks. Okay, steady climbs, and it hasn't made a new high. It's rejecting off of that aqua line. You can see how significant some of these are. This one's bananas. Okay. So yeah, I think this is a very reasonable trade to take. A very strong potential win of 1,000 pips. And yeah, let's see what the news is for the euro. We have election on Sunday, or Sunday evening, I guess. So that doesn't really affect it. Europe Central Bank, some dude talking. Same dude talking the next day. Announcing consumer price index on Thursday, so that's going to be significant. Forecasted higher for the month, but also about the same for the year. So if the CPI is forecasting higher, meaning that it's bullish for currency. If it's going to come in lower, this is going to tank. All right, that's going to be the significant move. And I have a feeling, regardless of how it's going to come in, it's still going to go down. Just because the news is a catalyst, right? If it planned on going somewhere, I believe it's going to be dropping. So we'll set up that trade idea off of the 4 hour. You know, it's not in profit yet. I'm going to move it right here, so I'm not cheating. As you can see, date stamp right there. Boom. I'm going to set up that little red marker where I believe it's going to go down. And yeah, we'll see if that happens. I'm not 100% on that, but this was, holy, what a beautiful move. Okay, this could have been even deeper, right? Like I've been saying before, if there's no EMA shift, there's no reason to exit the trade, especially when it's this profitable. Look at this, holy, 14.5 to 1. What a trade idea, guys. Pat me on the back for that one, yeah? What was this one originally? 8.5 to 1? Somewhere around there. You know, where we had the previous bottoms. Look at this. Ridiculous. Ridiculousness. Wow. Yeah, I'm just, it's, what a beautiful trade. That's all. Right. GBP AUD. So as you saw, GBP lost strength, AUD just kind of crushed it downwards. But what that did is left open a lot of gaps, okay? Not really huge in this matter, I would say, yeah, not very significant actually. It's just moving steadily. Looks much larger on the 4 hour. Definitely on this one. So I would say it's still going to be dropping, but we could see a pullback to this zone before it goes lower, right, to fill that gap. I'm not super comfortable going 75, but I don't believe it's going to go that high anyway. 50 pips down to that aqua, so 5-to-1 ratio could be a good potential trade. Let's see how that goes. That's not institutional. That wasn't at the edge of the trade. All right, so let's make that blue going down. GBP-CHF. We're going to see a lot of the same. See, GBP-CHF, so two sharp moves, kind of one after the other. Okay, very interesting to look at here. If we go on the daily, it was just like it means almost nothing, right? But it's a very strong continuation downwards. This would have been very significant if that would have been snagged around here. But that was like a year ago. Like no one's going to be staying in a trade for over or almost a year in Forex, especially unless you're a bank, right? But we can see that on the daily time frame, this has been a steady decline over the last few months, right? August 4th would have been a nice entry zone there. 60 pips stop loss, very reasonable. And right now it's 963 in profit after about 50 days. So yeah, very nice trade to be in if that's the case. I mean, it kept trending. That's why I'm like, oh, where's it gonna bounce off from? But the trend was so strong that there is no bouncing. This is forming something that it's gonna be a future play. GBP JPY, same sort of idea. But now look, we formed an imbalance, right? This imbalance has to close depending on which direction it wants to go. But now look here, we formed a double bottom, okay? Expecting GBP to be weaker than JPY, right? And overall, I would say in the years that's followed, it's pretty significant. It popped up over the last few months, and like the black EMA is just forming on this chart. So it's rejected off there several times and is dropping. So I have a feeling that we're going to see something along the lines of, where's the nice big red wick? Or red candle, I mean. Like this guy right here, maybe a couple more days of going down, a sharp move upwards to its 50%, right? Let's see if that's even a 50%. Wick and wick, right? See, it's always in play. 50% even right there on the weekly. Right, and then it dropped. So, I mean, I don't think I want to wait a year for that to play out. I'm sure there's going to be other trades to grab where we're at right here. Okay, but very significant moves overall that happened on the weekly for this particular pair. And I believe JPY is going to be seeing a lot more strength. There could be a potential move to come up to that 50% as this opens. Right, as news comes out, so good chance to take a trade around this area. I won't even do a deep stop loss. I mean, if I get stopped out at 50, then it's gonna keep going the opposite direction, and I would aim for those lows. So that's another potential, almost 13-to-1. Yeah, but again, very large candles like this, it could be very scary to jump in with that kind of a move. Right, but again, the biggest gap is in this area, so to make it a little tighter, 50% of that one is around there, and 109 pip stop loss to be safe, right? This is much more reasonable. This is what it's going to look like. All right. Okay. That's going to be a lot of pairs. Like, look at all the blue I have drawn up. We're about halfway, but I'm going to start skimming through them quickly. So Bitcoin, I'm projecting that it's going to come back to that 618 here. The original move that we had there was very nice. Ethereum, again, same sort of idea. I was expecting it to come to this area, and it did, and now it's slowly starting to climb out of that. Let me take a look at GBP-USD quickly. Just another big drop, right? Nothing really crazy to report there. Every GBP pair just shat the bed. Right, oil, what a painful mess that was. We'll get to that in a second. NZD CAD continuing its trend downwards. NZD CHF, same thing. NZD JPY hit my entry at the last hour, I believe, last couple hours right there. That's where I projected it would bounce off of. Whoops, don't need all that up. Okay, and it's currently sitting right there, 26 pips stop loss. I went real tight in this one. Okay, very, very tight with this trade. Let's see how that plays out. Because overall, this is still going to climb, I believe. We're not making newer lows, and there was a nice institutional play off of that. So this could be a very strong potential move. Definitely going to watch that one. I'm going to make that one pink. NZD USD, nothing exciting. Same thing as every USD pair. Oil, that's UK oil. Let's go to US oil. Alright, so this sucked. I mean, it would have been a decent entry, but definitely not as high as I'm hoping this goes. Right now it would have just been a 1.7 to 1, so not really worth that. But it is going deep. Let's see what significance we can find on the daily. I'm going to delete this trade idea. Okay, so Fibonacci, it looks like brown line, pink channel line, and 786 kind of converging around this area right now, whereas on the 618 there really wasn't anything close by. So this could be a strong potential reversal area, right? You have three indicators that are in the same zone, so we could be seeing this either already playing out because it rejected slightly, but again, on the daily, I would be very cautious because so far what I've seen is every single time it has a little bit of a move upwards, it tanks hard after. Okay, and it's not even making 618 retracements, right? So for example, if it goes from this one to this low here, right, didn't even hit a 618 before dropping lower. Then from this bottom to this top, right, like it just, there was nothing. There was nothing to pull back on. It just kept dropping. Right, from this top to this bottom, it was a 328, so very strong, all the way going down there. Right, it's just hitting off the 50% and dropping lower. So it seems that 50% is going to be more popular for oil than it is the 618 for the time being. And currently where we're at, if we draw a trend extension from the low to the high to the next low, potential target is going to be around $86 before moving lower. However, if we kind of reverse that and see where the current potential target is now, where it's moving, a high, low, and then next high is there, right? It could go even all the way down to about 73, maybe 72 a barrel. Yeah, that's a little rough. However, okay, and I'm going to jump on stocks for a second. This is what's telling me I think we've hit kind of the bottom of oil for now. Let's take a look at 3 oil stocks, okay? So where are you, COP? ConocoPhillips. I thought I organized this, my bad. Whatever, Oxy first. Okay, so 2 things I see in Oxy. It's kind of playing, it broke through that channel just slightly. So it might use that purple line in play around that 56.99 mark. And then let's see on the 1 hour what it looks like. So you can see it just opened below that 987 EMA and stayed there for the day. But right now the purple line is in play very, very much. And we'll see how much that ends up going. But so far it seems that oil stocks are following the NASDAQ. Right? Let's jump in on Chevron. Right? Chevron was really painful. Like it dropped even harder than Occidental. Right? Because Oxy was, how much of a drop? 5%. Chevron was 6.5%. COP was like 8%. Like it went hard. Okay, so that was a significant move for oil stocks. But I believe that there will be still a few more bucks for it to drop before it kind of bottoms out. Oh, there's COP. Geez, I couldn't even see it. 8.6%. That's rough. Okay, so this is kind of where we're sitting at. You can see rejection off, or it could reject off that EMA. If we draw fib from its previous low here to its high, right, just off that 618. Stocks love 618. I see that happen more often than in Forex. So it could be that ConocoPhillips has an extremely good chance to be a buy around this area. Okay, what I'm seeing with Carnival, I mean, unfortunate, right? But I do expect this to go slightly lower before reversing. Right, another nice gap that was made, so good potential purchase early on, but we'll jump into those in the other video. Okay, so just to finish off silver, right? I was expecting a couple plays off the 618 here, but it broke through several times before dropping lower. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, so this was my, it's already up. 618 is right here. I'm going to change the color once again because it's still up, so just a little bit brighter. Right, the original trade idea was around that zone. Let's see, something like this, I think it was, but it just kept popping up. Right, like I think I put it all the way up there, and there's potential to go all the way there. But yeah, I mean, it just kept kind of sitting around that line until finally on Friday it dropped. So yeah, I mean, trade idea was valid. It's just, the nerves of consolidation, you don't really want to stay in that. But the trade was pretty good, actually, pretty valid. And here we formed another candle. I wouldn't say that's an institutional because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Okay, but still a good idea, right? We can draw that 50% and you can see almost, my bad, it's a little too low, but it almost came up to there before dropping lower. So, silver is looking pretty good. Gold is looking like a decent sell, although more volatile than that. An XTI, just a mess. I was expecting it to pull up much higher before dropping, but it had other plans. So anyway, guys, that's it for Forex. I know it was a long-winded video, but there's a lot of setups that happened this week. Good chance to clean house for the next few months. I would say maybe pick your top 3 and, do your appropriate lot sizes because there's going to be some nice moves that happen in the next few months, okay? And here's the thing, typically between September to December, Forex is slow, right? There's not much that happens. But because we are in a recession kind of globally, there's going to be some significant moves that happen all across the board. So if you don't take advantage of it, I don't want to tell you you're going to miss out, but very likely you're going to miss out. All right? Thank you for joining. I'll see you at the next video.